With all this talk about mortgage forbearance and foreclosures being kicked out another 6 months, I think it's time to talk about what a foreclosure actually is. What's going on, guys? It's Hans Struzyna. Welcome back to another video, and I wanted to take a few minutes today and share with you what actually a foreclosure is, how long they take, and what you should be aware of when you're hearing about all this mortgage forbearance and time and all that kind of stuff that's being added to our foreclosure world and our real estate world as a result. So hopefully you get some value out of this. If you do, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to continue to put out content just like this and you're not going to want to miss it. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, let's talk about what it is, what a foreclosure actually is, and what you can do about it. And I'm talking specifically about the state of California. These rules change wildly from state to state. So make sure that if you're in another state and you're in foreclosure or something, make sure you go talk to that attorney. Real quick disclaimer on that note. Always consult with your real estate attorney and tax specialist and foreclosure expert at your bank and anyone else that you need advice on. This is not 100% meant to give you the formula of how to deal with the foreclosure, but more like a high level understanding of what it actually is so that you know what terms to talk to that person about. So go do your own research, don't rely on me. So there are two types of foreclosures to start. Number one is a non-judicial foreclosure, and the other is a judicial foreclosure. The difference is effectively on the non-judicial side is you basically miss payments and the bank activates the clause in your grant deed that allows them to start the process of repossessing your home to secure back the money that they lended you. The other judicial side has to do with a bankruptcy or a lawsuit of some kind where a judge smacks that gavel and says you have to forfeit this property to pay off this person over here for whatever. So what we're really talking about is the non-judicial side of the equation. So let's talk about that process real quick. Number one, when you start missing payments, your lender must reach out to you directly in writing to notify you that you've, of course, missed this payment. I'm sure you're well aware of it at that point, but nonetheless, to start this entire process, they must reach out. And they must reach out to you and provide options, give you the option of counseling, of coming up with a repayment program, all that kind of stuff. And I'll link to some of that down below so you can click on some links and check out exactly the process, but they have to put something out into your hands in writing for this to kick off. So even though they've sent you that first notice, that first letter, that doesn't mean that the foreclosure process has officially begun, because you have 30 days to do something about that. And you can reach out to them, put together a repayment plan, tell them you're working on selling the house. It doesn't matter, whatever it is, you have at least 30 days. And in some cases, you can tack on another 14 days on top of it if you're trying to work something out. But let's just say you go through those first 30 days and nothing is successful. That's when they will file what's called a notice of default. You'll get that in writing from the county recorder's office, and it is a 90-day default notice, meaning you have 90 days to cure your defaulted amount, to pay what you owe. Otherwise, they're going to send you to the foreclosure steps and take the processes to sell the house to regain their loan. One huge note that's really, really important is because the notice of default is recorded in the public record in the state of California, a lot of people have access to that data. Realtors, flippers, wholesalers, developers. You're probably going to get hit up by about everybody and their mother trying to buy your house, get you out of foreclosure, all that kind of stuff. So just know that that's coming. So once you receive that, you have 90 days to, like I said, cure it. That's the language they're going to use, which means bring the loan current. If you can't, you have options of putting, again, together a repayment program, although they're often less likely to want to work with you in that case. Go through a bankruptcy of some kind, borrow some money, whatever you have to do to bring it current. You have that 90-day period. Now let's just say you go through those 90 days plus your initial 30 and possibly additional 14 days. Now you're in what's called the notice of trustee sale period. That is a 21-day period when they're going to set an auction date for your house, and they're going to go to the county courthouse and auction the house off to whomever happens to show up. It's exactly the process it sounds like it's what you think, but it's honestly not that simple in practice. I used to actually work in the short sale world, notice of default world, and I helped people sell their houses when they have these notice of defaults and trustee sales. And I can tell you that a lot of people can kick these out through various petitions, through various bankruptcy filings, that sort of thing. It's really easy to get those delayed and pushed out. So before you freak out and say 21 days is 21 days, it's not. But generally that's what the rule is. So I bring all this up simply to outline, number one, what the process of the foreclosure looks like and how long it actually takes. I've had cases where I've had people I've spoken with who have been in somewhere between the notice of default and notice of trustee sale for 10 years, which is insane when you think about it, because they're not making mortgage payments in that amount of time. Number two is to give you a sense of whenever this foreclosure moratorium lifts, how long it's actually going to take for any foreclosure to officially happen. We're talking more than likely closer to 6 months once all is said and done and the paperwork is filed and the gavel actually drops on that trustee sale. Not to mention the change in the rules of Senate Bill 1079, which changed the entire buying process, which I'll do another video on it when it's ready. I'll link to it up here. But the buying of those foreclosures, who's eligible to buy them, in what quantity, all that kind of stuff just totally changed earlier this year. So that process is brand new, and we'll see how that actually goes and if properties go through that successfully or not, TBD there. So ultimately, my takeaway is, like I said, I used to sell short sales. I used to kind of specialize in this area. I don't anymore for a variety of reasons, but generally speaking, it is not that easy to take a house through the foreclosure process in California. And more importantly, it doesn't happen quickly, even if it actually happens. Like I said, it's not uncommon for people to be in this state for 3, 4, 5 years. And given the amount of equity that we all have in our houses collectively, it's never been higher. And so the likelihood that someone needs to short sale or is going to simply walk away from a property that has a couple $100,000 of equity when they could probably put it on the market is very low. So when people are concerned about a wave of foreclosures, at least locally here in California, I don't see it. The number of underwater properties is at an all-time low. Buying power and and interest rates are at an all-time low, and thus creating a lot of ability for people to transact on those properties. So ultimately, even when the foreclosure moratorium is lifted here in the United States and then in California, I don't see us getting crushed by a wave of foreclosed properties like we had last time. So hopefully that provided you some value. If it did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to continue to put out weekly content just like this, and you're not going to want to miss it. So without any further ado, this is Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International, signing off for now. See you on the next one.